Good evening, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Hope you've had an amazing time, and obviously New Year's Eve tomorrow. Hopefully, everyone has a happy New Year. But I'm delighted to welcome you all to Clear Up and Win the Quiz, a quiz of the 2020 snooker calendar year. I'm going to be joined in a minute with Sean Murphy. But yeah, we've got some. It's been so popular, obviously, on the on my stories. We've done 2 or 3 of these quizzes already, so we thought we'd do a live one between Christmas and New Year. 6 questions as before, yellow to black. See how you do, and at the end of it, obviously you can post in your results, tag me in, let me know how you've got on. All the questions, all the information. If it's wrong, let's blame Q Tracker because that's where the info's come from. But let's see if Sean is there. I've clicked on. Now, and there he is, Triple Crown winner Sean Murphy. How are you?
How are you?
Merry Christmas.
Coming to you live from the motherland.
You should have a keg of it, shouldn't you? Like proper stuff.
They deliver this with the milk here, in the morning.
It's a drink that I've tried so many times, even in Ireland, and I just can't like it. I don't know why I've tried so many times.
You just haven't had enough of it. You're too busy winning all the time. That was your problem when you were over here.
I didn't introduce you. I was going to introduce you. You're a Triple Crown winner as obviously your 3 Triple Crowns. I thought I'd test you, and just a little before we start the quiz. Do you know the years you won the World Championship, the UK and the Masters?
I think I'm on safe ground with those. Yeah, I think I'm on safe ground.
Come on then.
Yeah, I 2005 World Championship.
Yeah.
2008 UK Championship and 20. That's right.
You got 2015 Masters.
I think so. Yeah.
Well done.
So,
3 to 3. Well, we're going to do this quiz. Have a wee bit of fun with people. I'll come to you at the end for your answers. See if you got them right. As I just said, if there's any information that's wrong, we'll blame Q Tracker.
Brilliant.
That's where it's come from.
Obviously.
He's normally not bad. So I hope everyone's got their pens and papers ready. Because here is the yellow question. 2 answers. You have to get the right one. Ronnie O'Sullivan won his 6th world title this year in August, obviously. But how long had it been since he won his previous? What year did he win his previous world championship? It was a while. Was it A, 7 years, or B, 6 years ago? So anyway, how's Christmas and New Year going for you?
Yeah, good. I mean, very, very different, like for everyone, very, very different. Usually would have all the family here and my mum would normally come over and, there's been none of that this year. The Ireland shut their borders to the guys coming in from England and
right.
Poor Ken nearly didn't get home.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
He was sent on some freighter boat from Blackpool across with a load of lorry drivers, I think. And he just did well to make it home in one piece, I think.
Yeah, well, it's a panic. So I presume you've not been practicing?
I've not played at all. No, not since the last event. No, I put my cue. I tried to sell it, actually.
What?
I've not seen it, but I will be going. I will be getting into the club. It's just new restrictions have been announced here today.
Okay.
So obviously, as a sports person, there are exemptions that you have to be able to go to work.
Yeah.
Go and train if you don't have a facility at home.
Yeah.
So I am able to access my club, even though the club itself is technically closed.
Right. So that World Championship, obviously, that Ronnie won. How did you find the Crucible empty?
Jeez,
Because I played a seniors event after the main World Championship, and it just wasn't the same place for me.
It's not the same. It's the first time I've ever played there where you just weren't completely panic stricken just before you walked out to play.
Do you think it suited the qualifiers more?
Definitely, it was a I thought it was a massive, leveler in terms of players who perhaps normally wouldn't do as well there, played above and beyond themselves. But it was the guy that beat me, Noppon Sankam. He played brilliant snooker. Like, there was no for him. I didn't play, but he played great, and there was no. I don't think he'd have beaten me if there'd have been 10,000 people there, let alone nobody.
Right, let's go into the second question. It's a green question, everybody. Again, 2 answers. How many maximum breaks were made in professional tournaments in 2020? Remember, this is a calendar year, everybody. So, A, 7, or B, 8? Did you make any of those?
In the calendar year of when?
This year, 2020.
I've made one, yeah.
Yeah? I've
made one. Grief. Who else has made them? There's been quite a few. I think
there seems to be more. Again, I don't know whether it's because there's no TV and it's taking a bit of pressure over it, but there seems to be more players making them, more random players that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, I think it's one of those cliches, isn't it? Everyone says it all the time, but the general standard is much deeper and better these days than ever before.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think people say to me, how has standards gone up? And I think the scoring is what's gone up.
Any shot against anyone could be your last shot these days. Whereas certainly when I turned pro and before that, that wasn't necessarily the case. Anyone now could pep you with 6-1 visits and you could be going home. Simple as that. So, I mean, if Mark Allen's scoring well, anyone can score well.
Well, he's not with his new cue, I tell you that. Right, let's go to the Brown question. 3 answers again. John Higgins made his 10th career maximum at the Crucible this year. What record did he achieve as a result? Was it the most maximums at the Crucible? Was it the only player to make back-to-back maximums at the Crucible? Or was it the oldest player to make a maximum at the Crucible? So...
Nobody could be older than Cliff Thorburn, surely. Cliff must have.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, Cliff obviously, we look back, and Cliff obviously looked older, but that's.
Was it 23?
Huh?
He was about 23, I think.
Have you made one? Have you made one at the Crucible?
No, never. No, I got.
I know I made one against you.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Yeah, but what was the score? You beat me about 13-5.
Yeah, no, I did. Game, but yeah, I remember the max because it was just. I think you pulled out 2 or 3 unbelievable plans. Game. It was ridiculous. Break. It was ridiculous.
There was one. I remember one. It was a 2 or 3 ball plan, but the camera angle made it look like such a difficult shot. But you said it wasn't that difficult, but it looked. When it came out and the cue ball went through the black, it looked amazing.
Saying that for years, it wasn't that hard, that shot. Right, my answer here. I'm going for that one.
Right. Okay. By the way, we've got a small note as well. Can't get my words out. Too much wine. It also makes John the oldest player to make a maximum in any professional competition.
Goodness.
There you go. Okay. Blue question. 3 answers again. There are 807 best-of-7 matches played in 2020. How many of those matches ended in a 4-0 whitewash? A, 135. B, 149, and 3, 153. So, I mean, I presume it. I mean, it's asking a lot for someone, one of you guys, any of you guys out there, to get the exact number. But that's the three answers I'm given. So, we'll see who gets on. So, did you win any 4-0s or more series? Did you get beaten any 4-0s? Those are the ones you remember.
Aren't they? Especially if you've gone a long way and you get zipped out of it, you don't win a frame. I've had a few of those where you fly all the way to China and don't win a frame, like you're on the plane straight home. That's a long way to go.
I remember my last year we went to Melbourne, and I just thought the whole way there, it seemed to take about 2 days to get there, was like, don't get beat 5-0, because this is a bloody long way to go to get beat 5-0. Well, won a match and then lost to our friend Celt in the second round. It was probably like getting beat 5-0.
I loved that tournament. I really enjoyed going down under. I thought it was great. Shame that we lost that event, but listen, the year we've had, none of us would have been going anywhere, would we? So listen, it's just those things. But did I lose any? I think I probably have lost a 4-0 somewhere in this year. Played some good matches where I played well and the other guys just played better.
Yeah. Do you like the best of sevens?
No, I hate the best of sevens. I hate the best. I don't like them at all. But I completely, having been on the board and having been on the Players Commission, I do understand the commercial reasons why we have to have best of sevens.
Yeah.
Home nations events, they wouldn't exist without the best of seven. So I think there's a very strong commercial reason why we have those tournaments. And, I think it's better that the game has those 4 home nations events. Opportunities for everyone on the tour than we have, dug our heels in and not have those events at all. I think it's, it's better to have them than not. I think we could look at maybe best of 9s with no intervals. I think that, a lot of people don't know why we have the interval. Of course, it goes back to the old days when we used to play in theatres and they break after 4, so everyone could get a bag of sweets and a drink.
Right. They do it for us pundits because we can say, well, interval can change things.
Interval can change things. Dressing room that no one's ever had.
Tell me this: these home nations events, and obviously it's 120. Is it as hard as Ronnie says to get a practice time? Apparently, it's carnage, isn't it, to get a practice time?
It is carnage. I think unless you have your alarm set, to remind you to book practice immediately as soon as the practice window opens. If you leave late, there just won't be any tables left.
Really?
How many tables? There's 128 players, and they all want practice. It's very, very.
Right. Let's go to the pink question. This year, Ronnie O'Sullivan was nominated for the BBC Sports Personality of the Year. Steve Davis is the only snooker player to have won this. I came second to Paul Gascoigne. But what year did Steve win it? Was it 1986, 87, 88, or 1989? Steve Davis, Personality of the Year. What? That's got to be wrong, surely. Personality.
Ironic, isn't it?
So, are you looking forward to playing? At least you're going to be in a different venue in January, and still no crowd, but at least it's a different surroundings.
It's a different journey.
Yeah, Ali Pali. Yeah.
The only good thing that's come out of the last few months, because I've not had any good results on the table. The only good thing that's happened is that because the hotel that we have to stay in, as you know, is a Hilton, Stadium MK. I'm now at the top of the Hilton Honours reward scheme. I've completed it. I've completed it.
So you better get a nice holiday at Hilton Hotel next summer if everything turns around.
They're going to be paying me to go places next.
So what's
nice to just go somewhere else, won't it? And think. Yeah. I just wonder. When you watch the World Darts that's currently on there now. It's just made for that atmosphere, isn't it? And even with the piped, crowd noise, it's not the same.
Yeah.
So I think and you've seen it from Judd and a couple of other players this season. They've just kind of got over that and gone with it. I've really struggled with the fact that there hasn't been any crowds. I love performing to big crowds, and
I think I'd have struggled. I think I would have struggled because sometimes. I think if you'd got on a roll early, as Judd did, and he was full of confidence anyway. Yeah. I think he just break. But if you get on a bad roll, as like winning becomes a habit, losing becomes a habit, and it's hard to break that pattern.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's. I think, and as well, the guys that have won tournaments, it's you don't play for that after party or anything, but everyone kind of, well done, and everyone gets in the car and goes home and comes back, and they're tested, and 2 days later, and we go again in another tournament. It's a bit, it's a shame really, and I just think, I think snooker as well as every other sport really just wants to see this, this pandemic. And we can all get back on with our lives, whatever normal is different for everybody, but whatever's normal for us, we can't wait to get back for.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, at least there is snooker going ahead. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what we've got to look at, isn't it? The positives.
Absolutely. Did I miss
Yeah.
a question there?
Sorry?
Did I miss the question there?
The last question was about Steve Davis, Sports Personality of the Year. Which year?
That's it, yeah.
86, 87, 88, or 89?
Okay.
Okay, black question, everybody. Judd Trump played 103 matches in 2020. Remember, it's a calendar year. How many did he win? 79?
Most of them.
Yeah, a bloody lot. 79, 84, 88, or 90. And I'll be giving the answers to all these at the end of this. But 79, 84, 88, or 90. I mean, even if it's 79, I mean, what a, I hope I'm not giving it away there, but even if it was 70, I mean, that's not not a bad hit strike rate.
He's been unbelievable, hasn't he? He's been this year, the last few years. And I think one of the things that's interesting, when you're watching these things, because he's now a bit like O'Sullivan had, Davis had, Higgins had, Williams had, great players have had it. Players are beaten before they go out.
Yeah.
And there's a handful of players who genuinely fancy their chances of beating these names. And you can just see it on almost all the other players. They don't think they can win.
Yeah.
So many matches I've seen this season, the underdog has had a chance to win, but can't bring himself to do it. He just can't do it.
I think what he has and what you have to have, he has greed. He's greedy. I mean, that defeat to Robertson, I thought that would have left a scar for a few weeks because he missed that pink to win.
I did.
And it was a Triple Crown event, and I thought, but he came back, although he didn't win the very next one. But then he rocked up and won, the champion, not the champions, the Grand Prix. Yeah, he's just got that greed. He just wants to win every time he plays.
Yeah, and I think whilst he doesn't necessarily talk about it backstage, he doesn't go on about it, but he's aware of the records that he's setting. I think he's aware of what he's achieving, of what he's doing.
Yeah. I was going to say, what is he like as a because obviously we don't, as a pundit, we're in a studio, we don't get to see you. You travel the world with him. What is he like as a person? Is he quiet?
He's actually very reserved and very quiet.
Yeah.
From the guy that I've seen. Of course, I wouldn't know him away from a snooker environment.
Yeah.
I've known of him since he was a young boy. He actually made his debut at the Crucible against me, as I did against you.
Yeah.
I remember him as a child and was talked about. He was a few generations behind me in the junior game. Everyone was talking about this young kid, and he just burst onto the scene. But for all his fancy snooker and all of that, he's a really nice guy. Really kid. Call him a kid. He's 30 something now, but really nice guy. And I think a good ambassador for snooker. He's always well turned out. He always looks the part, speaks well. I think he represents the game well, and people like winners, don't they? So he's a great champion.
I mean, what I'd give for his Q power, my God. We got so that's a quiz. We've got a couple of little bonus questions. This is like, do you know? This is regarding yourself. So, do you know how many century breaks you made in 2020?
Not in I wouldn't know in the calendar year. No, I wouldn't know in the calendar year.
Guess.
I'm going to go for something like 38.
31.
I've always
again blame Q Tracker, not me. If it's wrong, blame Q Tracker.
myself up.
Always go higher. Always go higher. Okay, we have both, you and I, have played each other 11 times. What's the head-to-head?
11 times?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what the answer is. The only one I can remember...
It does to me. It does to me. You don't know me at all.
Do I even know? How many? 7.
You've won 7, I've won 4.
Oh,
See, it does to me, it matters to me, that hurts.
that's awkward, isn't it?
Should we just press the off button? Blocked.
Just gonna. I mean, I remember 2 of the matches very, very well. I remember making my debut at the Championships against you. And I was only, what would I have been, 18 or 19 at the time. And I remember a couple of things vividly. I remember wondering what type of reception you would get, because you were like God at the time. And, you know, the British public don't have a great history of wanting winners to winning. So I assumed as the underdog I would have a lot of support.
Right.
And I mean, I did. But when you walked in, the roof went off the place, and I was like, "Oh my God, what?" It's
actually it's one of the few places at Crucible actually I got a bit of support. I don't know why. It's like a lot of other venues, no, and certainly not at Wembley, because when obviously they all wanted Jimmy to win. But
no, I think in Sheffield, I think you know, with it being the World Championship, everyone had that respect for what you'd achieved, and you know, I was that sort of put out by. I didn't know where I was. There's footage of me somewhere. I was pouring my Highland Spring into and I missed my glass. And then water everywhere. And then I remember I broke off in the game, and you were set up to play a long red, plain ball behind the black for like the blue or something. And the cameraman was late getting in his position, and you sort of gave him a bit of a, you know, come on, mate, you know, can you get in position like? And I'm stood in my chair. You missed the red by a mile, and I was stood in my chair thinking, I've got him. Frame, first shot, and I got in the balls, and I was on 20 or something, and I was walking around the table. I was thinking, I can do this. I can do it. This is real. I tried to split the pack off the green, open the reds everywhere, and you cleared up, and I thought, crap. The
memories. One of my 4 victories against you.
The Masters was worse, because I was 4-1 up against you at the Masters.
That was at Wembley.
At Wembley.
The Conference Centre, yeah.
Only 18. And I was 4-1 up. I beat Marco Fu the day before 6-1 as a qualifier.
Yeah.
I walked into you. I was 4-1 up, and it was Alan Chamberlain refereeing. As he racked the balls for the 6th frame, I had a complete out-of-body experience. And I looked at you, and you were like this. You were like, and there was some guy behind you. He was going out of his brains. And I looked at it said, Stephen Hendry, MBE, the best player of all time, 1.
Oh, no.
John Murphy, who's he? 4. At that moment, I scored 17 points.
You got a glimpse of the winning line.
I saw the winning line big time.
That was an amazing venue. What's your? I mean, maybe it's an obvious question. What is your favourite venue? Is it the Crucible?
It is the Crucible, but I think, you know, if you ask me that question, you know, taking the Crucible out of the equation, the Conference Centre. I think I was lucky to play at the Conference Centre. Players these days obviously never played there. The Masters didn't work at the arena for me at Wembley.
No, I mean the Ali Pali's brilliant now, but the Conference Centre was incredible.
But I'd have to throw in now. I'd have to throw the Tempodrome in Berlin.
Oh really? I played there. I played in my last year. I played there. Yeah, I did play the match. Selby beat me, but yeah, great venue.
I'd have to throw that in. You know, certainly when you get to the one table, it's unique when 5 tables in play. You know, the lighting's not perfect, but the crowd, you know, they can be applauding.
It kind of works. It's kind of about the only venue I've seen that multi-table works.
It works because it's a bit like a festival, you know, and everyone gets in that. Some players don't like it, and I understand why they don't like it. I think in general it works, but then when you do get to that one table in the Tempodrome, it's bouncing, you know, and the walking. It's a real great, you know, it's a great event, that.
Yeah. Okay, let's go through these answers and see how everyone done. The first question was, Ronnie O'Sullivan won his 6th world title during this year's World Championships. When did he win it last? How long ago? It was two answers, either 7 years or 6 years. It was 7 years, 2013, which is incredible, really. If you think how good he is, and he went 7 years without winning it, it is actually incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, incredible. I think that shows you the test of the Crucible, doesn't it? It shows somebody who's so good and got so much to give.
Yeah.
There's a massive test goes in the World Championship. When I was on the board a few years ago, there was talk about trying to change the format and change the length of matches and this, that, and the other. And I think, thankfully, Barry Hearn said, no, I'm keeping it as it is. It's a bit eccentric, a final over 2 days, you know. But it's the same test that everyone in the modern era has passed. Everyone who's won it has passed that test. And, you know, not everyone can do it. That's the truth.
Yeah, well, that's why it should be the biggest test. That's why it should never be changed.
Everyone who's got their name on that trophy has passed that test, and it isn't easy. You know,
I always hate when like pundits or when we talk about it, and someone will get beaten in semis, and someone will say, oh, you know, he's obviously tired, he's had a tough run. I say, well, that's why it's the biggest test. That's why he's not going to win it, because he can't cope with the biggest test.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think it's massive, and I think it's right that stays as it is. You know, we've had the UK champs, for instance, you know, has altered. Now, you know, I personally preferred it when it was best of 17s all the way through. But you know, that's a logistical nightmare when you've got all the tour now there from round 1, 128 in at the first round. It's just not possible to do it. So again, there are good reasons why that's changed, but the World Championships isn't the same, and you know, I think it should stay. And as I say, I mean, I won it in 05, but I've been to the final there in 09 and 15, and it's, you know, it's just hard. You know, it's as hard.
Yeah. It's
you know, I've no idea. Someone like yourself who's won it 7 times, like, I've just got no idea how you did it. Got no how that happened at all.
I think one of the things that definitely helped me, and people have said to me as well, is being able to switch off in between matches. I've never had problems sleeping at night. I've never had problems like just coming down. As soon as the match is over, I'm down. So I think that's quite a big thing to have in the Crucible
Championships, because you know, as a junior player growing up, I used to hear rumours of what you got up to, but like, you know, when you were
sorry, can we just go back? You heard rumours of what I got up to? What were these?
You know, would you stay fight? Which, you know, because I used to hear that you'd come down from Scotland, play your first round, which was always on day 1 usually, play it, win it, and then go home. And you'd probably be home for 5, 6, 7 days, would you? And then come back.
Yeah.
Would you then stay in Sheffield from round 2 onwards?
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Always stayed from then on. I mean, later on in years, I stayed for the whole thing, but yeah, that definitely, you definitely have an advantage if you play one of the first couple of days. At the Crucible, be it Saturday or Sunday, and get finished in one of those 2 days, and then you can go home and basically, like, you played one match, you go back, have some practice, and then come back refreshed again. That's definitely a big thing. Yeah.
And how, like, where would you have, you know, without naming names, but like, where would you have stayed? You know, would you have stayed? Because it's very much the culture now to kind of stay almost on site and walk through the square. And
I always stayed at, well, it was actually had 2 or 3 different names when I stayed. It was a Hotel St George first. It was about 2 or 3 miles out the centre.
Right.
So I kind of thought it wasn't really my decision. It was Ian Doyle, my manager. They thought, like, get out of get out of it or get away from it. Then it was called the Kenwood Hall, I think, for a while.
Yeah.
The Marriott it was for a while. So, yeah, I've seen a few different hotels in the same site.
Hilton, anyway, I'd know about it. If it was a Hilton, I'd know about it.
You'd be all over Hiltons now. Okay, let's give the answer to the green question. It was, how many maximum breaks were made in professional tournaments in 2020? I gave you 2 options, 7 or 8. The answer is 8. Your one was in a qualifier, apparently, for I think the German qualifier, or
was.
Yeah. Sound familiar?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Yeah, I'm trying to remember it. I remember because I'd had a conversation about practice facilities that morning with our sort of player liaison officer, chatting about, when all the tour are on site, like you mentioned earlier on, when everyone is there at once, there aren't enough facilities for everyone to have a hit. And, I actually said, I'm going to end up playing my game, that particular match, and I won't warm up. I won't have hit any balls for 3 or 4 days. Obviously, I've got to travel from the Republic of Ireland, then be tested, isolate, can't get on the practice tables, and can't warm up before the match. Frame 2, I had a 147.
So that went down with that whole that argument went.
That was that argument out the window. I can't.
Okay, Brown question answer. John Higgins made his 10th career maximum at the World Championship this year. What record did he achieve? It was either the most maxims at the Crucible, the only player to make back-to-back maxims at the Crucible, or the oldest player to make a maximum at the Crucible. It's actually, it's at 3. It's the oldest player he is to make a maximum at the Crucible. Which, I don't know. It's incredible when you say that, Cliff Thorburn. I mean, obviously, when you look back in those, it's the old, the way they dressed, like they've been moustache. You think he must have been older than John, but obviously not.
Maybe Cliff must have had a really tough paper round. Been it? Oh dear.
That yellow, one of the greatest shots of all time, with like about a half an inch backswing, played a stun run through off the cushion, an off straight yellow, with Bill Werbernuk and Terry Griffiths behind, right on his line of shot.
Right in his eye line, like that.
Yeah. I mean, that reminds me, though, you done that one, which I cannot believe you did. You stopped during a maximum to get the middle partition brought up. Well, I was in the commentary box. I said, what is he doing?
That's the closest I've come to making one at the Crucible. I got to the last. And I knew play had finished.
Yeah.
And I knew there were people in there, and I just thought,
you just wanted to show off to more people, didn't you?
Show off, that's all it is. I'm just a massive... And you know what happened, right? Do you know what that was? Because there's a million people in the Crucible. Because it's just a stage, you just go and press the button, and the barrier comes up. And I think it was just red tape and health and safety. The person whose job it was to push that button had been sent on their break, and no one else was allowed to touch the button.
Oh, really?
And you're like, goodness, Anyway, red.
Okay, blue question answer. There are 807 best of 7 matches played in 2020. How many of those matches ended in 4-0 whitewash? Gave you 4 options. 3 options: 135, 149, 153. The answer was 149.
Yes.
But 18.5% of matches. So that obviously means you're quite happy with that. You went for the right.
I've now got 2 questions right. I'm flying.
Okay, pink question answer. 4 answers. This year, Ronnie O'Sullivan was nominated for the BBC Sports Person of the Year. Steve Davis is the only snooker player to have won this. What year? 86, 87, 88, or 89? The answer is 88. I remember he was playing somewhere and he got presented at somewhere. He was doing an exhibition or something. It wasn't even a tournament. So I remember it. Those were the days.
Unbelievable.
Black question answer. 4 answers for this. Judd Trump played 103 matches in 2020. How many did he win? 79, 84, 88, or 90? The answer was 84.
Got that wrong.
How many did you get?
A dummy earlier by saying 79 was quite a lot.
Did you not even clear the colours?
Bad that.
So I've got a few questions. We're saying there's not many. I went through them and that. So if you don't mind asking them, these are for some of people who sent questions in. This is from Tim_Claffey. I say, does he like living in Ireland?
I absolutely love it. Some people will know, but probably most won't know. Although I'm born in England and I'm English, but my heritage, my family heritage is Irish.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Murphy. I should know Murphy. Yeah.
Massive clue. But But no, and in fact, I always hoped that I would end up living here. That's where
Okay.
myself. And when we discovered we were going to have a second child, we wanted her to be born here, and that was it. We up sticks and came home. Obviously, my wife is from Dublin.
Right.
My great grandparents are buried 20 minutes away. My old family home is here.
Okay.
Both sets of grandparents were Irish. So there's a very strong connection here.
Right. And then you don't mind the commute at all?
No, not really. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been moments, particularly through the Milton Keynes last 2 or 3 months, where you've lost a match, and normally I'd just hop in the car and jump home after an hour. Now you can't do that.
Are you if you lose, are you a night leaver rather than a sleeping morning leaver? I was a night leaver.
Generally, I would be if I'm able to get home that night, I'm going home.
Yeah.
But living here, that just isn't, that isn't obviously available all the time. You can't do that. Sometimes I like to bring the car over on the ferry. Obviously, there's only 2 or 3 ferries a day. Sometimes they don't go if it's rough seas, and it has made a slight difference, but not a great deal.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's hindered. There's been some great players from this island. I feel like it's hindered their careers. So just trying to get on with
it. Tahir_Vasivdar says, "Are you enjoying playing at Milton Keynes? Seems like you're not."
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the players would say the same. I think we're all very, very thankful that World Snooker have managed to, put everything under one roof at Milton Keynes. The venue at Milton Keynes ticks lots of boxes. Hotel on site, so we can be isolated. Good testing facilities. It's easy to get to, and all the rest of it. To be honest with you, the biggest problem I've had this season is the fact that there's no one to play to. And as a child growing up playing this great game, watching people like yourself and Davis and Jimmy and Ronnie, and part of it was that performing element, playing to a crowd, doing it when it mattered in front of a live audience. That was
well, people. I mean, obviously, I've got this comeback, and it's not a full-time comeback. I have to keep saying that to everybody because they're all waiting for it. But one of the reasons that I wanted to play again was to sample that atmosphere again. Sample possibly playing in an arena, because obviously I'm there all the time working for TV. You're in an arena before a final. I'm so jealous of you guys. I'm thinking, oh my God, how good would it be to sample this one more time? And that's it. And that's one of the reasons I haven't played yet, because I don't really want to play in Milton Keynes with no people.
No, and it is if you're a performer, and that's I think an important distinction to make. Not everyone on the tour is a performer. Not everyone likes it.
Yeah.
I am a bit of a show-off. There's no two ways about that. I'm much better at doing things in front of a big audience, playing out the back. I think that's just. But the fact that we're playing in audiences where there is nobody there is difficult. And it's something I haven't really come to terms with yet. I've presented it rather than just dealing with it. You see, some players have dealt with it much better, and I've struggled with it.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with things. It could be anywhere.
Yep. Jake Cousins, is it hard to go from winning in front of a full crowd then going to home to your family the next day? I presume it means from obviously you're in a massive high to going back to normal life. Do you find it's actually quite a difficult thing for me when I did that. It was quite weird because you're in this, as you say, this massive occasion, and then all of a sudden you're no one. So
I think it's one of the things about having children. You come home. My children are, Harry's 4 and Molly's 2. So the last 4 years has been life changing. They don't know whether you've won or lost, and they don't get. It's just daddy's come home. They're not bothered what the score is and what they're bothered. And whether you've won or lost, you kind of have to deal with it on the way home. Do walk through the door, be ready to be.
You can't sulk anymore. You're not allowed to sulk anymore.
I used to be a bit of a sulker. You sit in a dark room for a few days.
Most definitely.
All been there.
Delicious wants to know the best and worst player to, well, I presume spend lockdown or share quarantine with.
Oof.
Best or worst? Matt Selt, he's got to be up there. Best or worst?
He could be either.
He'd keep you entertained.
Could be either. I mean, I think I'd have to go with, a good mate of mine, Mark Allen. We're good friends. He could be either as well, to be honest. So we'd have a bit of crack and a bit of banter, and I think during lockdown, I think you saw Michael Holt and Alfie Burden. They were having like daily cook-offs. That became a bit.
Yeah, I follow Alfie. I'm quite impressed. He's quite the chef.
Well, as a master chef, participant yourself, you'd appreciate it.
No, let's not go there. Not go there. First round. Awkward, yeah. Let's move on. Anyway, Matt Selt did put a question in. He says, "Can he play chess yet?" I mean, is there a hidden meaning to that, or what's?
It's a good story.
Not for Instagram.
No. It's fine. When I lived in Manchester, I had a flat when I was living on my own. Matt came to stay with me for a few days golf, a few days snooker, and I think a couple of nights stay turned into a 3-month lodge. Played him badly, and we played golf. We played sort of 36 holes a day for like 3 weeks, and all the rest of it. And we were sat in the flat one night watching the cricket, and he turned around to me. He said, "Can you play chess?" I said, "Yeah, I can play chess." What I meant by that was, well, I know how the pieces move around the board.
Like me, yeah, that's like me.
Play chess. Gary Kasparov's not ringing me every 3 days. So we jumped in the car and we toured around south side of Manchester trying to find a chess set. And we ended up in some big Tesco 24-hour chess set. We got back to the flat, had a few drinks, and the game was over within 4 moves. And he was like, "What was?" It was a complete waste of time. He beat me in 4 moves. It was pathetic. I'd give it the big one about being really good at chess.
I did some of these names. Brett Moby S. Hart. I'm gonna say that. This is a bit serious for between Christmas and New Year, but a great talent, obviously. Why do you think you've not won more in your career?
Yeah, I mean, the first answer I would give to that would be, I think I have played through arguably, the toughest era, where we had, through my professional career that started in 1998.
A bit like Andy Murray. You're a bit like Andy Murray.
I'm a bit funnier than Andy Murray, I'd like to say. Slightly looser than Andy Murray. No, I think in all seriousness, like when I turned pro in 98, it was sort of right smack bang in the middle of your dominance of the game. O'Sullivan was obviously coming up on the road.
Yeah. On your day, you've taken apart every one of us.
Yeah.
On your day. So does it frustrate you that hadn't won more or not? Or
no, it does frustrate me. It definitely frustrate me. And
I personally think you should have won at least 3 world championships by now.
Yeah. Well, I definitely, I've definitely had, 2 other good chances and a couple of semi-finals that, I perhaps should have lost in the semis in 07 to Selby from a, very strong commanding position, and lost that in a deciding frame. And there have been other matches as well. But I just think, I think the biggest factor I would say is that, I have played in an era where, players have just played out of their skin. We played in the last 20 odd years. The game just isn't that easy. Look at the players who, and this is probably going to sound more defensive than I mean it, but look at the players who haven't won, the events that I've won.
Yeah.
Own what you won. There are some phenomenal names on that list and great players who, winning isn't easy.
No.
And I think one of the small differences about our sport than a lot of other sports is that when you're in play, when it's your turn, I can't do anything about it.
Yep.
But I think it's also okay to say that, you know, the players who have won more tournaments, they're probably just better.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's any disgrace in saying that. You look at somebody like O'Sullivan. How many, you know, I've heard people talk about O'Sullivan as if to say he's underachieved.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how many tournaments could he and should he have won, like, you know?
I know. But
it's a tough one. It does bother me. I wish I'd won more. I certainly think I'm capable of winning more still. You know,
I was just going to say that there's plenty of time.
Time's up. I don't know many people who try harder than me. I don't know many people who prepare better than I do, who give more. You know, and people say if you keep doing the right things, eventually things will turn. So eventually things will turn.
I'm going to finish one last question. I've asked. I did a lot of these lives during the first lockdown, and I've asked lots of players this. Is there any match you'd like to play again, be it a win or a loss, anything? Could be a match you played well or a match you lost. I mean, it's difficult to think of one.
Difficult to think of one. There are a couple of big matches that stick out there. I mean, I'd love to have another crack at a couple of the World Finals. Match in 2015 against Stewart was an unbelievably high standard match.
It was one of the best finals I've ever seen there. Obviously, I was working for BBC. It was an incredible final.
But I have a bigger final I lost in 2009 to John because I didn't really take part in the match.
Right.
He dismantled me without playing very well himself either.
Right.
I didn't really play or a C game back then, which I have now.
Right.
I could have another crack at that match. But you might understand what I mean when I say this. The match that always sticks out was the match I lost as defending world champion in 2006, where I lost the title.
Right.
I got to the quarterfinals, and I just started to think
you're going to break the curse.
Might break the curse here. I was just starting to play well, and I walked into Peter Ebdon, who played out of his brains.
Right.
Sessions. It was one of those
as it could do. People don't, you know, he gets a lot of stick, Peter, for being obviously slow and the way he was a bit different. But people forget what a great player he was.
Went off his brains for 2 days, and I think, you know, it was a best of 25 match, quarterfinals, matches you've played hundreds of, and I think during the match he must have had 3 or 4 glorious 147 opportunities. You know, that's how he was. You know, when you're playing really well and you're in the those things just seem to come along. You find yourself in those positions. And honestly, he could have made 3 or 4 147s in that match. He didn't make any, but he could have made 4.
Yeah.
And that was how well he played. And, you know, I'm trying to think, where did he get to in that tournament? He went very deep in that event.
2006.
He losing the final to Graham? Or was that?
It could. Not sure. I'm not great with looking at matches, but
yeah, I'm not sure. I think Graham might have beat him in the final. I'm not sure who Graham beat in that final. I think it was Peter.
It was Peter Ebdon. I mean, I have to admit, I'm glad I wasn't working on it. I mean, Grim comes to mind. It's a word that comes to I mean, huge respect to both players, obviously, but I mean, it's not my cup of tea, that match.
Not your cup of tea, no.
Listen, Sean, I'm going to let you go because you're giving up your time between, because I really appreciate it. Lovely kitchen, by the way. It looks really nice.
Yeah, no, I've had nothing to do this time.
But yeah, no, I really appreciate it, giving us your time, and I've enjoyed it. It's been great fun, and I'll see you at the Masters.
If not the golf course.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
See you later. Good night. Yeah, really enjoyed that. Great company from Shaun Murphy. I really appreciate it. Obviously, giving up his time between Christmas and New Year. As I said earlier, you can tag me in. Let me know how you got on in the quiz. Tag me in, and have a great New Year, everyone. And thanks for tuning in. And tune in for more Clear Up and Win the quizzes in the new year. Good night.